Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Prayers by Queen Kunti. Sloka 16. Ma mamastha hyat da etad ascharya sarva ascharyam et uchyate ya idam mayaya devya srujatyavati hantyajaha. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. It is so because he, by his own transcendental energy, maintains and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. The activities of the Lord are always inconceivable to the tiny brain of the living entities. Nothing is impossible for the Supreme Lord, but all his actions are wonderful for us, and thus he is always beyond the range of our conceivable limits. The Lord is the all powerful, all perfect personality of Godhead. The Lord is sent person perfect, whereas others, namely Brahma, Narayan, Shiva, the demigods, and all other living beings, possesses only different percentage of such perfection. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is unrivaled. Shlok 17. Brahma tejo vinirmukta rehe आत्मजय सह कृष्णया प्रयाणा विमुखम कृष्णम idam maha prutha sati. Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. Kunti is described herein as Sati or chaste due to her unalloyed devotion to Lord Shri Krishna. Her mind will just now be expressed in the following prayers for Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for deliverance from danger. That was all along the characteristic of the whole family of the Pandavas. They knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He reciprocates the dependence of the devotee. One should not therefore look for help from imperfect living beings or demigods, but one should look for all help from Lord Krishna, who is competent to save his devotees. Such a chaste devotee also never asks the Lord for help, but the Lord, out of his own accord, is always anxious to render it. Shlok 18. Kunti Uvacha. Namaste Purusham Tva Adyam Ishwaram Prakrute Param Alaksham Sarvabhutanam Antara Bahirava Stitam. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. Srimati Kunti Devi was quite aware that Krishna was the original personality of Godhead, although he was playing the part of her nephew. Such an enlightened lady could not commit a mistake by offering obeisances unto her nephew. Therefore, she addressed him as the original pursuit beyond the material cosmos. Although all living entities are also transcendental, they are neither original nor infallible. The living entities are apt to fall down under the clutches of material nature, but the Lord is never like that. In the Vedas, therefore, he is described as the chief amongst all living entities, then again he is addressed as Ishvara or the controller. The living entities or the demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, etc. are also to some extent Ishwar, but none of them is the supreme Ishwar or the ultimate controller. He is the Parameshwar or the Supersoul. He is both within and without. Although he was present before Srimati Kunti as her nephew, he was also within her and everyone else. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, I am situated in everyone's heart, and due to me only one remembers, forgets, and is cognizant, etc. Through all the Vedas, I am to the known because I am the compiler of the Vedas and I am the teacher of the Vedanta. Queen Kunti affirms that the Lord, although both within and without all living beings, is still invisible. The Lord is, so to speak, a puzzle for the common man. Queen Kunti experienced personally that Lord Krishna was present before her, yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Ashwathama's Brahmastra. Kunti herself was puzzled whether Sri Krishna is all pervasive or localized. In fact, he is both, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrender souls. This checking certain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebelled soul. It is explained as follows. Shlok 19. Maya Javanikashchanam Ajnadhokshajam Avayam न लक्ष्यसे मुरदशा नटो नाट्यधरो यथा. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy, you are invisible to the foolish observer exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord affirms that less intelligent persons mistake Lord Shri Krishna to be an ordinary man like us, and thus they deride him. The same is confirmed herein by Queen Kunti. The less intelligent persons are those who rebel against the authority of the Lord. Such persons are known as Asuras. The Asuras cannot recognize the Lord's authority when the Lord appears himself amongst us as Ram, Narsimha, Varaha, or in his original form as Krishna. He performs many wonderful acts which are humanly impossible. As we shall find in the 10th canto of this great literature, Lord Shri Krishna exhibited his humanly impossible activities even from the days of his lying in the lap of his mother. He killed the Putana, which, although she smeared her breast with poison just to kill the Lord sucked her breast like a natural baby, and he sucked out her very life also. Similarly, he lifted the Govardhan hill just as a boy picks up a frog's umbrella and stood several days continually just to give protection to the residents of Vrindavan. These are some of the superhuman activities of the Lord described in the authoritative Vedic literatures like the Puranas, Itihasas, histories, Upanishads, etc. He has delivered wonderful instructions in the shape of the Bhagavad Gita. He has shown marvelous capacities as a hero, as a householder, as a teacher, and as a renouncer. He is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such authoritative personalities as Vyasa Deva, Sita, Narad, Madhav, Shankara, Ramanuja, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanatha Chakravarti, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and all other authorities of the line. He has himself declared as much in many places of the authentic literatures, and yet there is a class of men with demonic mentality who are always reluctant to accept the Lord as the supreme absolute truth. This is partially due to their poor fund of knowledge and partially due to their stubborn obstinacy, which results from various misdeeds in the past and present. Such persons could not recognize Lord Shri Krishna even when he was present before them. Another difficulty is that those who depend more on their imperfect senses cannot realize him as the Supreme Lord. Such persons are like the modern scientists. They want to know everything by their experimental knowledge, but it is not possible to know the Supreme Person by imperfect experimental knowledge. He is described herein as adhokshaja, or beyond the range of experimental knowledge. All our senses are imperfect. We claim to observe everything and anything, but we must admit that we can observe things under certain material conditions only, which are also beyond our control. The Lord is beyond the observation of sense perception. Queen Kunti accepts this deficiency of the conditioned soul, especially of the woman class who are less intelligent. For less intelligent men, there must be such things as temples, mosques, or churches so that they may begin to recognize the authority of the Lord and hear about Him from authorities in such holy places. For less intelligent man, such a beginning of spiritual life is essential, and only foolish men dare the establishment of such places of worship, which are required to raise the standard of spiritual attributes for the mass of people. For less intelligent persons, bowing down before the authority of the Lord, as is generally done in the temples, mosques, or churches, is as beneficial as it is for the advanced devotees to meditate upon Him by active service. Shlok 20. Tatha paramhansanam muninam amalatmanam bhakti yoga vidhanarthakatham paschyem hi striyaha. You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalities and mental spectaculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? Even the greatest philosophical speculators cannot have access to the region of the Lord. It is said in the Upanishads that the supreme truth, absolute personality of Godhead, is beyond the range of the thinking power of the greatest philosopher. He is unknowable by great learning or by the greatest brain. He is only knowable by one who has His mercy. Others may go on thinking about Him for years together, yet He is unknowable. This very fact is corroborated by the Queen, and she is playing the part of an innocent woman. Women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer obeisance without reservation. The Lord is so kind that He does not only show special favor to one who is a great philosopher, He knows the sincerity of purpose. For this reason only, women generally assemble in great number in any sort of religious function. In every country, in every sector of religion, it appears that the women are more interested than the men. This simplicity of acceptance of the authority of the Lord is more effective than showy insincere religious fervor. Shloka 21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumarai Govindai Namo Namaha. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisance unto the Lord who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd man of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. The Lord, being thus unapproachable by any material assets, out of unbounded and causeless mercy, descends on the earth as He is, in order to show His special mercy upon His unalloyed devotees and to diminish the upsurge of the demoness persons. Queen Kunti especially adores the incarnation or descent of Lord Krishna above all other incarnations because in this particular incarnation he is more approachable. In the Ram incarnation he remained a king's son from his very childhood, but in the incarnation of Krishna, although he was son of a king, he at once left the shelter of his real father and mother, King Vasudeva and Queen Devaki, just after his appearance and went to the lap of Yashoda Maya to play the part of an ordinary cowherd boy in the blessed Vrajbhumi, which is very sanctified because of his childhood pastimes. Therefore, Lord Krishna is more merciful than Lord Ram. He was undoubtedly very kind to Kunti's brother Vasudev and the family. Had he not become the son of Vasudev and Devaki, Queen Kunti could not claim him to be her nephew and thus address Krishna in parental affection. But Nanda and Yashoda are more fortunate because they could relish the Lord's childhood pastimes, which are more attractive than all other pastimes. There is no parallel to his childhood pastimes as exhibited at Vrajabhumi, which are the prototypes of his eternal affairs in the original Krishna Lok, described as the Chintamani Dham in the Brahma Samhita. Lord Shri Krishna descended himself at Vrajabhumi with all his transcendental entourage and paraphernalia. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore confirmed that no one is as fortunate as the residents of Vrajabhumi, and especially the cowherd girls who dedicated their everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. His pastimes with Nanda and Yashoda, and his pastimes with the cowherd man, and especially with the cowherd boys and the cows, have caused him to be known as Govinda. Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicating thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahminical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied whether these are lacking. Shlok 22. Namaha Pankaj Nabhaya Namaha Pankaj Maline Namaha Pankaj Netray Namaste Pankaja Agrahe. My respectful obeisance are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who is always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. Here are some of the specific symbolic marks on the spiritual body of the personality of Godhead, which distinguish his body from the bodies of all others. They are all special features of the body of the Lord. The Lord may appear as one of us, but he is always distinct by his specific bodily features. Srimati Kunti claims herself as unfit to see the Lord because of her being a woman. This is claimed because women, Shudras, the laborer class, and the Dvij Bandhus or the rich descendants of the higher three classes are unfit by intelligence to understand transcendental subject matter concerning the spiritual name, fame, attributes, forms, etc. of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Such persons, although they are unfit to enter into the spiritual affairs of the Lord, can see him as the Arak Vigraha who descends on the material world just to distribute favors to the fallen souls, including the above mentioned women, Shudras, and the Vij Bandhus. Because such fallen souls cannot see anything beyond matter, the Lord condescends to enter into each and every one of the innumerable universes as the Garbhodharaka Shri Vishnu, who grows a lotus stem from the lotus like depression in the center of his transcendental abdomen, and thus Brahma, the first living being in the universe, is born. Therefore, the Lord is known as the Pankajana Nabhi. The Pankajanabi Lord accepts the Arak Vigraha, his transcendental form, in different elements, namely a form within the mind, a form made of wood, a form made of earth, a form made of metal, a form made of jewel, a form made of painting, a form drawn on sand, etc. All such forms of the Lord are always decorated with garlands of lotus flower, and there should be a soothing atmosphere in the temple of worship to attract the burning attention of the non devotees always engaged in material wranglings. The meditators worship a form within the mind, therefore, the Lord is merciful even to the women, Shudras, and Dvij Bandhus, provided they agree to visit the temple of worship in different forms made for them. Such temple visitors are not idolaters as alleged by some men with a poor fund of knowledge. All the great acharyas established such temples of worship in all places just to favor the less intelligent, and one should not pose himself as translating the stage of temple worship while one is actually in the category of the Shudras and the women or less. One should begin to see the Lord from his lotus feet, gradually rising to the thighs, waist, chest, and face. One should not try to look at the face of the Lord without being accustomed to seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. Srimati Kunti, because of her being the aunt of the Lord, did not begin to see the Lord from the lotus feet because the Lord might feel ashamed, and thus Kunti Devi, just to save a painful situation for the Lord, began to see the Lord just above his lotus feet, that is, from the waist of the Lord, gradually rising to the face and then down to the lotus feet. In the around, everything there is in order. श्लोक 23 यथा ऋषिकेश खलेन देवकी कंसेन रुद्राति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं च सह आत्मजा विभो त्वयैव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात्. O Rishikesh, master of the senses and lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious king Kansa, and myself and my children from a series of constant dangers. Devaki, the mother of Krishna and sister of King Kansa, was put into prison along with her husband Vasudev because the envious king was afraid of being killed by the eighth son, that is Krishna, of Devaki. He therefore killed all the sons of Devaki who were born before Krishna, but Krishna escaped the danger of child slaughter because he was transferred to the house of Nanda Maharaj, Lord Krishna's foster father. Kunti Devi was also saved from a series of dangers along with her children, but Kunti Devi was shown more favor because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. This was done because Devaki's husband Vasudev was leaving, but Kunti Devi was a widow and there was none to help her except Krishna. The conclusion is that Krishna endures more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. Sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. Shlok 24. Vishana Mahagane Purushad Darshanad Sat Sabhaya Vanvasa Kruchataha Mrudhe Mrudhe Anek Maharatha Strasto Dronya Stratashyasma Hare Abhirakshitaha. My dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapons of Ashwathama. The list of dangerous encounters is submitted herein. Devaki was once put into difficulty by her envious brothers, otherwise she was well. But Kunti Devi and her sons were put into one difficulty after another for years and years together. They were put into trouble by Duryodhana and party due to the kingdom, and each and every time the sons of Kunti were saved by the Lord. Once Bhima was administered poison in a cake form. Once they were put into the house made of shellac and set afire, and once Draupadi was dragged out and attempts were made to insult her by stripping her neck in the vicious assembly of the Kurus. The Lord saved Draupadi by supplying an immeasurable length of cloth, and Duryodhana's party failed to see her neck. Similarly, when they were exiled in the forest, Bhima had to fight with the man-eater demon Hidimba Rakshas, but the Lord saved him. So it was not finished there. After all these tribulations, there was the great battle of Kurukshetra, and Arjuna had to meet such great generals as Drona, Bhishma, Karna, etc., all powerful fighters, and at last, even when everything was done away with, there was the Brahmastra released by the son of Dronacharya within the womb of Uttara, and so the Lord saved the only surviving descendant of the Kurus, Maharaja Parikshit.